that says we're Carolina and we're built different. This ain't just Saturdays in the South. This is history. This is Kenan Stadium. This is Bill Belichick with a plan and a Tar Heel team with a grudge. You want smoke? Good, because we brought the whole damn fire. With Tommy Ashley, Joey Powell, and people who live and breathe Tar Heel football. Buckle up, y'all. It's game time. This is Inside Carolina Live.
Legendary Trey Edge. Just off camera. There he is joining us. Gentlemen, it is you could not ask for a better weather day in Chapel Hill. It has been just an amazing August and September here. Carolina and Richmond kicking off in a few hours. Jason, I'm going to come to you first since you're the legendary Staples that's finally in person in the parking lot. Let's just keep it simple right out of the gate. What does Carolina need to do in a quote-unquote tune-up game to fill this Bowles Lot parking lot in 2 weeks or 3 weeks against the Clemson Tigers?
Take care of business up front, finish every drive with a kick, and you win this game.
That simple.
It's that simple.
Spencer?
I would just like to see that, they're capable of executing offensively and not, like Jason said, end every drive with a kick, put points on the board, give people a reason to come back in 2 weeks.
Trey, you've watched a lot of ball, played a lot of ball. A lot of people, I feel like TCU sort of took the sails out of a lot of people that don't follow Carolina as hardcore as a lot of us do.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that happened in that game that were expected by folks that watch it a lot of things that were not expected by folks that got into the hype of the Belichick hire and all that. Your take on what this Tar Heel team has done thus far this season, specifically TCU or Charlotte, and what they need to do today to sort of get people back in it?
Well, one of the takes from week one, and Tommy, Jason, all these guys know, I've been coming here for 50 years, with my dad as a kid. And when I did something different that day of the TCU game and stayed up on Franklin Street and did the whole campus thing instead of coming down here. And I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
Right.
Being around this place on that day. Y'all probably talked about it, but my first time talking to you about it, that excitement that was generated that day is what I want as a Carolina football fan each and every Saturday. Sometimes it's going to wane depending on your opponent. I get that. But I'm talking about as a general rule. So what I took from that was what could be. Because for a moment in time, I saw exactly what I had always dreamed I got Terry Sanford on my brain from football last night. Carolina football could be, what game day could be. And it was that way until after the first drive. You asked me what I've seen in the first 2 weeks. That excitement is capable. It's possible here. I'm taking that from it. Last week, it was kind of like we said, all right, it's a week to get right, but we didn't get right. Whether you want to say that's because of a short week, not making excuses, but there is that factor in it. I look at today as a chance to say, all right, get right. You're playing a Richmond team you should beat handily. Yeah, they've had successful teams the past couple years, but I want to see a team that can line up, and you can speak to this better than anybody here, the way you break down the film and what I watched from you this week. I want to see a team line up and decide to run the football like we've been trying to do, punch people in the mouth and say, we're going to run it, and you still can't stop it. We need to average over 5 yards a carry, and we need to run it and dictate what type of play. Because, Tommy, you and I have talked, the one thing I've cared more about this year than anything else is one single thing, physical football. Mm-hmm. I don't care that it necessarily resulted in wins. I just want to see you hit somebody in the mouth and me walk away from the game saying we're the tougher team. And I haven't said that a lot in the past 15 years.
Absolutely.
It's longer than 15 years.
I was being generous.
Yeah, let's be honest about this. That goes back a long way. But
But what you said, a couple things here. Carolina football can be that, right? This is why a lot of people for a long, long time, including myself, have referred to this as a sleeping giant program. It's one of the biggest brands in college sports. Nobody else has a lot of the benefits and advantages that you have here in Chapel Hill in terms of the athletic department and the infrastructure to win. But the culture hasn't been there to be able to capitalize on all of the other factors that you have. This, by the way, is one of the reasons why Carolina, I think, has poked their nose at maybe going to the SEC as well. Because you get those kinds of game day opportunities, and it changes a lot about what you can bring in. I mean, it's an advertising arm for the university as well. That ends up benefiting the academics and everything else. But they can be that. That's why they hired a Bill Belichick, and they put the money into the program, is because they wanted that to be what they're finding. Now, you're not the only person. I mean, one of the former players that I talked to who's been invested and has been around the program a bit since Belichick got here, he said the same thing. He said, look, if we go out there and we play with toughness and effort every week and we win 5 games this year, that's a win for me.
Absolutely.
That's what he said. And I think that's been the sort of mantra around the program has been, it's not about the wins and losses. It's about the process of doing things the right way, with the view that the wins and the losses eventually follow that. And how many times have you heard me talk about process?
Yep.
That it's all about doing things right. And if you focus on the outcomes exclusively, you're not going to get the outcomes. But if you do things right every time, eventually the outcomes follow. That's true not just on the field, which is what they're trying to do, but that's also true for game day operations. That's true for expanding tailgating opportunities, making this more friendly for that sort of thing. These are all things that Carolina has to do in order for this program to take that next step. But the opportunity is absolutely there over the next year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last 2 weeks ago, it was like, this is possible. This is actually possible in Chapel Hill, from the concert to how campus was to the vibrant bowls lot, all across everything. Spencer, when you look at this, and this is sort of the catch with Carolina football, I think, for a long time, is we know now that we know that it's possible, but what we've seen the last 2 weeks has a lot of people wondering, is it actually possible between the lines? I don't think Bill Belichick cares what it looks like as long as they win, to be personally.
I think he does care what it looks like as long as if we're talking about fundamentals.
Oh, that I'm talking about, like 20-3 is not a bad score for Bill Belichick.
The 3 matters. And you said they didn't have a get-right week.
Correct.
They had a get-right week on defense, I think.
Yeah.
I saw significant progress week over week on the defensive side.
Yep.
I thought the defensive line played very well and unselfishly. And physically. And you saw that in terms of the results. There's still some back-end issues they've got to deal with. But I thought they did have a get-right. Now, some of it's opponent, but I thought fundamentally they did have a get-right last week. Offensively, it's going to be a little while.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, Jason. If my one big takeaway from last Saturday was Bill Belichick and his staff, they do not care about style points. They do not care what it looks like, just as long as they can walk off of that field with a win. That is all they care about. They're not going to air it out and try and put up 50 points, you've seen in years past with the air raid. If they can run the football, control the line of scrimmage, and then pin you deep on special teams and make you drive the length of the field to beat them, that's all they care about. They don't care if they put up 30, 40, 20, 10. They just want to walk off the field with a win, and that's been clear this far.
And echoing that, if you take it back to week 1 and the initial question that Tommy asked me about what I took away from it, the, quote, generic Carolina fan, who was coming to look and watch Carolina play under Bill Belichick. The disappointing part, and what I heard from a lot of people, was you automatically associate Bill Belichick with what? Defense. And what we watched week 1, the 75-yard run where the running back was untouched, that left a scar for a lot of people, because they said the one thing I expected was not that.
Yep.
I did not expect to see that. And I'm not saying it's lack of effort or anything like that, but we didn't expect to see that. It's been so long since we've seen really good defense here that hope probably was unrealistic in game 1, but that's reputation. We get all that. It's what we hope for. It's just now that we're getting into the season, you mentioned the steps we took last week. It just has to continue to grow. I do think I talked to Joey at the end of game one. We were kind of standing down toward the bottom of the stands, and he said, man, I don't know what people expected here today. Well, we didn't expect that. That's for sure. But we got to be realistic. And I can go way back, and this isn't the time to do it. But I'll just throw it out there. When you revamp a program from the ground up, I'm talking before transfer portal time.
Mm-hmm.
This has been done here before. People forget. When I was here in that locker room, Mac Brown came in. There were guys who left this program to go on and start at Auburn, Georgia, Michigan State. They left because this place was blown up. And we went 1-10 2 years in a row. Okay, well, what happened after that? We revamped this thing and started and built a successful program. This is not that per se, because you can get there quicker with transfers. But we still blew this thing up to a certain extent.
Yep.
And to bring 70 kids in here and to think that we were going to roll out and do what a lot of us hoped we would do was not necessarily realistic.
I completely agree. I think that as time goes on, it can only get better.
Agreed.
That's the most important thing. If you expected Carolina to come out on that first game and play with 70 new players and look perfect and flawless and execute everything fundamentally like they wanted to, you were mistaken, and that was abundantly clear that Monday night.
But to what Jason says, it's not about that to me. You don't have to be perfect.
Right.
You got to play hard. You got to hit somebody in the mouth, and you got to establish the fact that we're different now. That's really all I want to take away from it, especially in a game like today. I want there to be no doubt.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is you could bring 70 new players in and potentially be dominant, but they wouldn't be the 70 players they brought in.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. They brought in some nice pieces here and there. They brought in a bunch of guys who were in the portal for a reason. They did not go out there and outbid Texas Tech for a $1.9 million defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Right? They're not getting those guys and getting those guys on campus. What they're trying to do this year, really, and this is the thing, my old coach who took over a program and, rebuilt that from the studs up, had a saying: you lose big, then you lose close, then you win close, then you win big.
Yeah.
You can cut off one or two of those steps now with the portal if you bring in the right guys. So maybe year one, you don't lose close, you win close, and then you can win big faster. Yeah. That's the hope. But what that also means is that against the best teams, you're probably going to the best bet is you're probably going to lose close.
Yeah.
In game one, they lost big because they're playing against, I think, a really good football team with a really good quarterback. But what they're trying to do is year one, establish culture, establish this is who we're going to be, so that when they go on the portal, this next portal shopping opportunity, there's a bunch of people who are like, North Carolina looks different. I want to go there. And then they can potentially get guys to come here at a discount. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to be, not paying. They're still going to pay, but they're wanting guys who can come in and they want to play and be a part of the move from close to winning big. Yeah. And they're very much invested. And what did we talk about this summer? It looks to me like they're trying to add some guys that can kind of raise the floor for this year. But it looks to me like they're really targeting 2026 and 2027 as the years. I still think that. The question is, how much proof of concept can they show this year to convince players who are going into the portal and the very few early impact freshmen that they might be able to get, to convince them you want in on this and you can help flip our roster to be where we're going to be.
Yep.
That's what they're trying to do. And again, that starts with being able to show that we're going to be the program that's going to hit you in the mouth, that's going to make our guys better. That guy wasn't playing somewhere else. Look at him now. He's a really good player. We can plug you in right next to him, and that makes us an 11-win team. That's what you're trying to get to in terms of the pitch for next year. And again, we don't want to talk about next year early, but that's really what they're doing. So step one is showing that proof of concept, and that starts with a team like Richmond. You've got to go out there and you've got to dominate them, not just on the scoreboard, but you have to dominate them physically.
Agreed.
You want them leaving feeling like they got curb stomped.
Absolutely.
I agree with everything you're talking about. And Trey, you mentioned the 1 in 10 years. I mean, Mac came in with a plan.
Yes.
And Mac could have kept a lot of guys around and won 4 or 5 ball games and
No
did
doubt.
that. And I think the same thing's going on here is with the aid of the portal is you clean house and get your culture built in as quickly as possible. And I think that's what Mac did. I know many of the guys Mac ran off.
Yeah.
And,
Me too.
But like to your point, in year 3, you're tying the eventual national champion, and then it kind of goes up from that. So let me ask you, as far as the expanding and creating culture in the portal era, and Trey, I'll ask you this, is how do you do it when guys have so much experience elsewhere?
Yeah. Well, it's not easy. It is not easy. And the advantage I think Carolina has is who they hired.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no mistaking what he brings and what his culture is. The challenge is to make his culture Carolina culture. And that is not a culture we have had, quite frankly. I've talked,
Ever.
You guys have, we've been Carolina guys forever. We've been accused many times of kind of playing gimmicky football. You can go back to the Fedora years. Pick whatever era you want to pick.
Even in the Butch Davis era, they were not the uber physical
Correct.
kind of program.
People have mistake that we were. It's just that we had some studs that people remember
Yeah.
who were monsters who went on to play in the NFL, but our culture was not necessarily different. To a man, I think we have all agreed the biggest thing that needed to happen here was culture change. So if you're a player at another program, small or big, I don't care. If Bill Belichick's coming to talk to you, you understand from the get-go what his culture is. Now that culture has to be synonymous with Carolina football. I don't think you have to necessarily sell them, this is what Carolina culture is. It's going to be understood. This is what we're selling. Look who this guy is. Look at his history. Now, that can only go so far, I will grant you. You've got to play that way, and you've got to make that your style of play. I don't think there's any doubt of what our intention here is in terms of how we're going to play football. And that's going to be really attractive to offensive linemen, maybe running backs. Who knows? The brand of defense, you're automatically going to get certain guys interested. So selling it to guys to come here from other places, I don't really care what their culture is they're coming from. I want them to look at this and say, yeah, I see where this is going. It may take a little while, but I want to be part of that because that can get me, number one, where their priorities are. It can get me where I want to go, which is the next level.
Yeah.
But it can also get me playing a brand of football that I love to play.
Let me
It's a sales job.
Let me build on that another way.
Hold on. Let me come back and get to that because I know I don't have an hourglass.
This would be a quick one, though.
But okay, go ahead and get a quick one in.
What you want is you want players who are actually leaving where they are to come to Carolina, not players who are in the portal already that you have to go shop for.
Yeah.
You want guys who are, man, I don't know. I don't know about where I'm playing, but you know what? I think I want to go in the portal and I want to go to Carolina because I want to play for Bill Belichick and that's what you want. And that happens with some of the major programs all the time is a guy enters the portal and he oftentimes might even have a do not contact tag
Because he already
you
knows.
know where he's going. You want more
Great
of
point.
those guys because they're the guys that they're not in the, as Nick Saban has said, that guy's in the portal for a reason. Those guys aren't in the portal for a reason. Those guys are really good and they just want to join something that's going to be better than where they are.
And to get there, it takes time.
That's
and this year is part of that process to get there. We're talking with Jason Staples, Trey Ade, Spencer Haskell here at Inside Carolina Live. We got a special guest in the second segment. A ton of content here today. Grace Nugent will be here later in the show. Jim Hawkins joins us in the second segment. If you do not know who Mr. Hawkins is, you need to get on InsideCarolina.com and look at all the wonderful work from the sidelines that Hawk gives us. He'll be joining us. Plenty of content. We're here up until an hour before kickoff. Stay tuned for more Inside Carolina Live.
Hey, I'm Eric Church, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
My name's Rebecca Rosenberg.
See for yourself.
Hi, friends. This is Mark Pons with Chapel Bill Tire. That's right, Chapel Bill Tire. We are changing our name in support of Coach Bill Belichick and our UNC football program. From oil changes and brake service to alignments and tires, just like Coach Belichick, we bring discipline, consistency, and execution to ensure you have a championship car care experience. Do your job and book your next service at chapelhilltire.com. This season, you can call us Chapel Bill Tire and drive happy, Chapel Hill.
Sundays are bigger at Town Hall Grill. Kick off your day with the best brunch in town, then catch every NFL game on the big screens with the sound on. Bring the family, enjoy great food and ice cold drinks, and be part of a local spot that proudly supports autism awareness in our community. Town Hall Grill at Southern Village, where brunch meets football, and every Sunday feels like game day. Let's go Tar Heels.
Attention business owners. Is buying or leasing a brick and mortar space for your business in your future? It's important to understand your options and have a plan. And more importantly, have a commercial real estate expert on your team that has your back. We are
Cindy,
Lou,
and Shayla too with Bold Commercial Real Estate. We will help you
buy,
sell,
and lease Bold. Connect with us at boldcre.com.
This is Ely from Almas Jewelers. After the flooding in Eastgate, we had to close our doors. But now, I'm so happy to say we are back. Our temporary location is open in University Place, right in the retail space at 900 Willow Apartments, across from Fifth Third Bank. It's bright, beautiful, and easy to get to, with plenty of free parking. Whether you're shopping for something special or just want to say hello, thank you for your support. We are so proud to be part of this community. Come see us at Almas Jewelers, now in University Place.
Inside Carolina, the place for Tar Heel sports discussion, analysis, and breaking news, has moved to a new home, the On3 Network, offering the same great coverage of Carolina sports with exclusive recruiting information, in-depth team analysis, and insightful podcasts. You can still find us at InsideCarolina.com, but you will need to reactivate your subscription as they don't transfer to our new home. You can do so today for $1. Make your game day begin and end with InsideCarolina.com.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
Welcome back Inside Carolina Live. Actually, we are live in the Bowles lot. Running the show, no Joey Powell. So if you're in the Bowles lot and you're expecting to see Joey, Clemson game. But come see us here in the Bowles lot. We got Trey Edge. We got Jim Hawkins on set. We got Spencer Haskell beside me. Hawk, I brought you in and I asked you to come on the show, A, because I've been promising you that I would ask you to be on the show forever, but also because I think your work's so underrated.
Well, thank you.
Jim Hawkins has got some of the legendary photographs in Carolina sports history, from the basketball court to the football field. Hawk, this is sort of a labor of love for you, I guess, because you've been doing it a long time. What is it like to sit on the sidelines or beside the court when you see greatness happening?
You're right, Tommy. If you go back to my experience, 2027 will be 50 years of shooting for me.
Good gracious.
I started in 1977. I'm only 35.
There's a fountain of youth in the Hawkins household.
But no, I think you are in the moment and you stay in that moment and you don't realize how big it really can be or is. And the players that have come through the program that I've seen is just, it's phenomenal. You see so many players that you forget about a lot of them.
Well, I mean, you've seen the greatest.
Yeah.
Literally have seen the greatest, from MJ to Peppers to all those. I'll tell you why I got such and I'm not just blowing smoke as we see somebody grilling over there. I hope that's not going to be a Virginia or a NC State, Wake Forest situation. It looks like
Winston-Salem on Thursday night.
But when I went to the Florida State baseball series and I sat down in the photo well with a camera, and I tried to take pictures, and I was thinking, this is amazing to do. But my first thought was, how in the hell does Hawk get all these great pictures? How does it work for us lay people that do it? And again, I'm not trying to blow smoke. I'm trying to understand how you put yourself in the moment to get the moment to share with us. Because I think in this day and age, people sort of don't appreciate photography as much as they used to.
Well, I think, you have to go back and where I started and how I started. So many of the photographers today have come up through the School of Journalism, and they've shot at UNC for 3 or 4 years and perfected what they do, and then move on to a career in photography. I was in the apparel business, and my very first job, I worked for Haynes of Winston-Salem. My neighbor was the sports editor for the Winston-Salem Journal, Terry Oberly. And I just happened to say, hey, Terry, can you give me a photo pass for the Wake Forest Carolina game next Wednesday night? And he said, sure, I'll get you a pass. And that's how I started. I mean, I used a camera that Haynes owned, took the photos, had them developed, thought they looked good. And then I just got the bug, and I've been shooting ever since. So that's 1977.
Who won the game?
It's an interesting story. Skip Brown we were doing some financing with Skip Brown one day, and he said, do you think you have some photos of me? And I said, when did you play? And I said, the first game I shot was the Wake Forest Carolina game in 1977. I was playing then.
Huh.
And I said, I've got to go back and look for those negatives, but Carolina won the game, I'm pretty sure.
Do you know in the moment when you have the shot, you're doing all this stuff and the game hits, and then it just, I don't even know. Does it strike you in that moment? You're like, ooh, that might be one.
Yeah. Well, I think there are those that you do, and there are others that once you review the photos, you know that you have it. I mean, I think being a good photographer, and I certainly don't think that I'm the best. There are a lot better photographers than me out there, but it's a matter of understanding the game and being in the right place at the right time, because you can be in the right place at the right time and have a player move in front of you and blurs the photo.
Right.
I started back in the days when you had to do manual focusing and film, So when things moved in 2000 into digital photography and autofocus, it was a new game for me. And I can remember the ACC tournament. I had my first autofocus camera, and all the guys in the photo area down at the ACC tournament in Atlanta said, welcome to the 21st century.
Well, it's fabulous to watch. And working with Inside Carolina, you've had the opportunity to work with young people as well. And Spencer's one of them.
Yeah,
and
Spencer's one of them.
I don't know if Spencer realizes the legend he's sitting beside right now, Spencer.
It becomes abundantly clear everywhere we go. Everybody knows Jim Hawkins. He was the mayor of Charlotte last weekend in the media room. Everybody's coming up saying hello. How are you?
He is the mayor in multiple cities.
I have a lot of things that said about me. Being the mayor is not necessarily one of them. But.
How many shots? Even don't know if you can even answer this.
I can.
Just take one game. Pick your sport, one game. How many shots do you take?
You will shoot about 4,000 images in
Wow.
football and about 1,800 in basketball.
And that blows my mind. I would have never guessed that it was 4,000 images.
And it's just, you go through all of that and you work it down to, Michelle and Michelle Hillison does all of my work. I feed to her. We have a number that we work on, and so I kind of keep that in my mind. And generally, when I get excited and it's a big game, they're more than the normal ones I send her. She says, "You've sent me enough."
Well, I mean, compare that to when it was filmed, because one thing, if you notice,
big difference.
Yeah, when you notice photographers now, they're taking pictures and then you're looking at your camera to see if you got what you wanted. Back in the day, there was no.
Yeah.
You didn't know. No,
you really didn't. And I think you were, back in those days, you were much more cautious. I mean, I was shooting, even though I shot for UNC and then I shot for ACC basketball, you still, the handbook, you still get to the point where you hesitate in shooting. Where now, if you see a play, you just shoot wide open, and you may get anywhere from 5 to 10 frames on a on a particular play.
This is something that's always fascinating to me, and we're talking with Jim Hawkins, Inside Carolina photographer, and of course has been around, as he says. I wouldn't have said it, but you said almost 50 years in 2027.
Yeah.
So it is an amazing career doing this stuff. How do you shoot wide and then you focus it down to the shot, or how does that work?
And Buck always gets on me about this because I like to shoot tight, so I'll zoom in on a play where a lot of people will shoot wide, and then you have to crop the photo to get the image that you want. I probably shoot tighter than most people in terms of what I get or what I shoot. And but yeah, it's a style that every photographer has, and everybody's different. So much a part of what we do is workflow. How you take the pictures, how you review them, how you feed them along to Michelle or manage them yourself. It workflow is very, very important because they expect me at halftime. I go in football, and I usually give Michelle anywhere from 40 to 60 frames to work with at halftime. When you are looking for something, when the other writers, Adam or Jeremiah, are looking for something that I do.
When you're in that moment, are you allowed? I don't even know if allowed is the right word.
Mm-hmm.
Can you be a fan and take the photos at the same time?
I tell people that I'm a better photographer than I am a fan.
Well,
mainly because I get too worked up as a fan.
Well, we all do.
When you're photographing, you stay fairly calm. There's occasions where you'll get excited. I think eventually Tommy will ask me what was my most important.
Sure, look at the man reading minds.
Most important photo. But I go back. I was sitting here thinking before I came on air, but you have to go back. The game at Duke, which was Coach K's last game, was a big one. The Final Four game against Duke was very big, and in those cases, you know who you're pulling for.
Sure.
Now Ben Sherman would hate to hear me say that. We have to be
sorry, Ben. That's Jim Hawkins.
We're an independent Inside Carolina, but no, you know who you're pulling for. And when Marcus Page hit that shot against Villanova, that was the greatest feeling. But 2 minutes later, holy.
Absolutely.
Seconds later, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you: you've been doing it for almost 50 years. One of the photos in the Inside Carolina office highlighted is the Connor Barth field goal with
Correct.
Devin Hester laying face down and Barth celebrating, which I talked to Connor last week or TCU weekend at He's Not, and we kind of talked about that photograph. But for you, the most recognizable Jim Hawkins photo.
Well, that's a good one, and it's framed and mounted in my office. And if you saw my office at home, I have when Inside Carolina was still a magazine, all the covers line my wall that we did for Inside Carolina, which was really cool. If you have to take photos, and I'll tell you one story that I think is fun, but probably people ask me, and if you said the Danny Green dunk, people that are Inside Carolina fans or North Carolina fans will know that photo.
Absolutely.
And if you go on the internet and say, Google Danny Green dunk, it'll show up.
That was also up in the office, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It is.
And how many times have you seen that photo on I don't want to say unauthorized uses?
Well, my kids stay after me all the time about that. Said, Dad, you can go after these people and sue them, and I haven't done that, but yeah, that photo is very well recognized. And the other one, I have the Dean Smith Michael Jordan photo with Michael kissing Dean on the top of his head. And
Incredible.
I think there are two of those. Mine was shot without the flash. Grant Halverson was shot with the flash, and I personally like mine. And,
we like yours.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, they're iconic photos.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not an exaggeration to say that. If you're a Carolina fan, I mean, you can bring that picture up.
Yeah.
And the beauty of that, we're talking about photography, so obviously it's a visual medium. But in my head, I can literally see it
right there with you,
right here. And it brings emotion out in me. and which has to be an incredible feeling for you because it kind of is that the mission,
The
to
mission,
emote that?
the mission, the mission that you have as a photographer is get the shot,
Yeah.
get the frame. And you asked earlier about, do you know what it is? Well, you think you have the shot, and then you look at it, and it's something that's messed the frame up that you didn't get it. And even me being out of focus, but that being out of focus could be someone running in front of your camera right before that frame, and you miss it.
Yeah.
But you shoot enough that you hopefully get enough that you do a photo gallery but Tommy, if we've got time, I'll tell the story.
Yeah, right quick.
Talking about photos. Back when we had the magazine, Tyler Hansborough was a freshman. And so we were going to put him on the cover. And the idea was banning people as him crushing the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And the title on the cover was Scary Good. And, it's a great shot of Tyler with that look on his face crushing the basketball. So we were playing at Kentucky that weekend. And I had seen the photos, and I was in the elevator and going down to the stadium, and who gets in the elevator but Tyler. And I look at him and I say, "Hey, Tyler," I said, "that photo turned out great the other night." And he looked at me, "Why not? It was me."
Jim Hawkins, legendary Inside Carolina photographer, legendary Carolina photographer, has been doing it for a long time. And to Trey's point and to your point, Hawk, a lot of the photos are iconic moments in Carolina sports. Yeah. And I think for the average Carolina fan, they're things you recognize. Everybody recognizes Jordan's shot in '82, even though, most people weren't born at that time. The Danny Green dunk, like you mentioned, that you took, the Connor Barth thing. I mean, I was at that game. I hurdled Devin Hester laying on the ground on the way to the goalpost in that game. So that photograph is one of those things. It's just fascinating. And I appreciate you taking the time. I know you got work to do today, but I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I'm just going to end by saying to my wife, who hopefully is watching, my beautiful wife, who's put up with me for all these years, allowing me to do it, and my kids, Jay, Matt, Philip, and Taylor. They are all big Tar Heels.
Well, they love you as we do, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim Hawkins. Stay tuned for more Inside Carolina Live. Got plenty more as we lead up to Carolina and Richmond at 3:30 in Kenan Stadium.
That's right.
Yeah.
happy.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
Welcome back to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill. I'm Tommy Ashley. The Inside Carolina crew is here. Shout out to Jim Hawkins for joining us on that last segment. You know, it really humanizes the people behind the scenes that folks that watch sports and love sports do not see.
Takes a village.
It takes a village, and Inside Carolina is certainly a village. WCHL certainly a village, and together we're here in the Bowls a lot. Jason Staples, Trey Edge, Spencer Haskell joining me. Let's talk defense, boys. Jason, you mentioned it earlier in the show, and we've talked about it all week, is the way North Carolina has been able to at least look improved on defense. Jason, it's fundamentals. I asked Bill Belichick on, when was it?
That was
Tuesday. I said, how can you tell, how do you grade your players or evaluate your players when the level of competition is so different? And he said, basically, we're looking at fundamentals, and fundamentals travels. Jason, that's something you've really talked about a lot. Explain why fundamentals travels, even if doing it correctly doesn't always work when the player in front of you is simply better.
So let's think about basketball. Familiar subject for a lot of Carolina fans. Steph Curry, you put him in a gym and you let him shoot. That guy's got pretty good fundamentals from what I can tell. I've watched him hit 93 out of 100 from NBA three-point range in practice. Now, here's the thing. You put Steph Curry out there in a context where there's defense, where there's inferior competition. He's going to light it up, and you're going to notice, wow, that guy can really shoot. Look at that guy. Wow. And then you put him out there with great defense, somebody that's, I don't know, you go back to, let's say you go back to the past. You take the Chicago Bulls of the 90s. They're going to put Scottie Pippen on. The long arms, he's 6'7". It's going to be harder for Steph Curry to shoot over him. But guess what? Steph Curry's still going to get his at the end of the day. He's still going to score some points. He's still going to have that gravity no matter who he's playing. And that's what you're trying to evaluate. That's how you evaluate as a coach. You say, look, there's certain things that the way that you do them doesn't change regardless of who's across from you. Now, if the guy across from you is so good that you're not going to be able to get your shot off, that's going to change things. But normally it's not going to be that one-sided, but it's going to travel. And every coach, any coach who's worth anything, in my view, is always going to have essentially two grades that they're going to give players on every play. One is an assignment grade, and some coaches will break that apart. It'll be an assignment grade and a fundamentals grade. I like to do three. Some coaches, the assignment grade includes fundamentals, but you're going to go assignment grade. So did you block the guy you're supposed to block? Did you take the step towards the guy you're supposed to take the step toward? Then the second thing is, did you do it right? And the third thing is effort. Did you do this with absolute world-class national championship effort? And you give all of those a number score. And then that gives your grades over the course of the game. So what Belichick is talking about is working that way as a coach. And that's the only way you can work as a coach, is we go in and he graded 84% on assignments, which is not real good. He graded out 92% on fundamentals. That's a step forward. And he graded out 98% on effort. All right, now we've got something we can work with. Get some of the assignment stuff cleaned up, and we're at least in a position where if he loses, it's not going to be because of anything that he did. It's going to be tip your cap that the guy across from you is real good. That's what he's talking about. And this is just basic coaching, and it applies at every level.
Spencer, we've heard in our player availabilities, it really, since they've been having them, that's the talk. These guys talk about it. And we've seen some guys improve. DeAndre Robinson was up there this week, and he was talking about the very same thing. They always talk about being physical and playing with fundamentals. And quite frankly, I don't recall that being a lot of the talk. It probably was, and I'm having recency bias, but it seems like that that is not only something they do on the field, but something they talk about a lot.
One thing that really stood out to me on, I guess this was Thursday, was when Coach McGee was up there, the wide receivers coach. And the one line that he said that really stuck out to me was he was asked a question about establishing a rotation as the season goes along and how many guys they're going to try and work in every single game. And what he said is, we're trying to grow our list of dependable players, which to me, watching Carolina football of years past is maybe not something that we're so used to seeing. Linebacker, really just thinking about the linebackers is the one that really jumps off the page to me. But watching the game at Charlotte, it almost seemed like they were rotating in 2 new defensive linemen every single play. And not just 2 new defensive linemen, 2 new defensive linemen who were controlling the line of scrimmage and who were doing their job and who were executing, so that you really couldn't even tell that there was a difference and there were new guys on the field because they were still executing exactly what they were supposed to do with the effort that they were supposed to. And I think that if they can grow that across every single position board as the season rolls along, then the benefits will start to reap on the field as we watch the season progress.
But didn't we? I may have the number wrong. Wasn't it 54 players who saw action?
I can't remember
It
exactly.
was in that ballpark.
Yeah.
That here anyway, it's kind of unheard of.
Unbelievable.
Even in a game where you're playing.
Well, we had
Charlotte.
Well, in a game that's only a 17-point margin.
Correct.
That's the part where and this is the biggest difference. We've seen multiple coaching staffs who've played 60, 70 players in games. But we'll see a Heisman candidate at quarterback who's still playing into the fourth quarter when you're up 28 and you're going, what is he still doing out there? Well, we wanted to make sure we got this for sure out of their reach. Well, what that means is you're just never going to play those guys in games where it's really going to matter, right? You would see this all the time, where it would be we got to get up 4 scores before we can actually play anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing it up 7, up 13, right? Well, I guess they were up 7 and 10, right? They're up 7 and 10. They were still rotating a lot of those guys in. And what that does is that communicates to those guys, you better be ready every week. Well, it's different if you know that you're only going to go in 4 scores up.
It begs the question, and I'll put it to you. We started this show talking about what we want for Carolina football and the importance of this year, not necessarily judged by record. It still gets a feel when you talk about things like this that we're such a work in progress that we're going to continue to figure this out even into game 3, game 4. You don't want to say it's treated as preseason. I don't mean it that way. But you just get the feeling this year is going to be spent. You don't want to say weeding out, but you're certainly going to figure out who you can count on and who you can't. And we may see guys put in those positions much more than we ever would have before, just to test that and to see what do we have and what don't we have. It may not be pleasing to the crowd, honestly. But if you're looking bigger picture, and if you're looking mission for program, is that not kind of what you have to do? Some of these guys just got here in the spring.
Or fall. A couple of the major guys are fall.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to figure this out. It's just that we're figuring some of this out in the season, which isn't a popular thing for the fans. But if you're a coach, which you can speak to, it might be necessary.
And it also shows, one of the things I wanted to talk about was, how do you stay sharp when you're supposed to dominate an opponent? Well, there's a guy behind you that's going to get reps, and they're going to put tape out there. And this group of coaches have shown that they're going to play the guys that do it correctly, regardless of opponent. And against a Richmond team, Spencer, when they come in, and we've talked about they should dominate or they're supposed to dominate, it gives guys incentive to not loaf, not have backside loafs, which you talked about a lot. And that's something I've started watching on a lot of teams.
It's a culture thing. And if you want to know where a team's culture is, you watch 2 things. You watch the backside of plays. Well, 3 things. I feel like I'm the Spanish Inquisition, but you watch you watch 3 things. You watch the backside of plays on offense and defense. You watch special teams, and you watch how many hats get to the football to tackle. Mm-hmm. Those 3 things are going to tell you about what the culture of your program is. Because if you get guys that are just kind of loafing off the ball on the backside of plays, that tells you that there's no real accountability in that program. And if you get guys that are not absolutely selling out to play physical and prove themselves on special teams, that again shows that the accountability level in the program is lacking. And the hats to the football is just flat out effort and buy-in.
Yep.
And that tells you where you are. If you're not getting 4 and 5 hats to the football on every tackle, basically, you got a culture problem.
Yeah.
I agree with that, Spencer.
And especially just speaking more to that point, this is a total new staff. These are 70 new players. You've earned nothing in a sense. They don't care who you are, what you might have done last year or the year before for the team. That was an old coaching staff. That was a total other group of guys. All they care about is what have you done for us this year. And if you're, like you just said, if you're slacking off, you're not running to the ball, you're not blocking on the backside, you're not doing your assignment every single play, they don't care. They'll take you out. One thing that I also remembered when Brian Belichick was speaking to the media, I guess that was last week, just speaking more to the rotation and getting guys in. He said the last thing that you want to do is have a good football player stand on the sidelines next to you the whole time. Those guys are chomping at the bit to get in there, and they're just waiting for their opportunity, for their chance, especially under this new staff. They know they're going to get it if the guy in front of them doesn't do his job to the maximum extent every single play. There are 2-3 guys behind him that are just itching to get out there on the sideline that want to prove what they can do to this new staff.
Yeah, and there's a reason why there were no numbers on the jerseys in the spring.
For sure.
And a lot of it was gamesmanship, but there was also a lot of that.
It's trying to earn buy-in.
Yeah.
And Jason, I would ask you, how much of it also is, yes, we're building a different culture here, but when you know who the coach is and it's Belichick, how many of these guys look at this and know before they ever get coached down 1 by this crew that if they don't play hard, they're going to be sitting on the bench? I mean, seriously. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you've got to coach it. Yes, you're talking about coaching hats to ball, but these guys have to know coming in, okay, well, that's rule 1. If I don't play hard and I don't give 100% maximum effort, I'm going to be right over there. It is a little bit of an advantage he has to that part of the culture already being there.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, the reputation gets you the start on that.
Exactly.
Right? They know that, like, when spring practice starts, all right, well, this is what we know. We've heard about this or whatever. But the real rubber meets the road in that first meeting after the first practice, those, first 3 or 4 meetings after what you've done on the field. And then you have that meeting and they demonstrate that what you heard was accurate.
Right.
They go, you see this right here? This is unacceptable.
Yeah.
This right here, this is why you're going to be doing 10 40-yard bear crawls before practice starts. Right? For me, and I've talked about this before, if you had a loaf on the backside of a play, you did 10 40-yard bear crawls for me it's 5 40-yard bear crawls for me the next Monday practice.
Yeah.
Now, I would do them with you, so I didn't want you to loaf either. But they knew after scrimmage 1, and you have to get it to where the voice in the head before the play is going, okay, you better play hard. You better play hard. You better play hard.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because it's one thing to know, like, I have to be accountable to this. It's another thing for it to be ingrained in who you are as a player.
Isn't it kind of crazy, though, that we even have to have that discussion? Honestly, to say I better play hard is an amazing thing to even have to say out loud.
Well, look, let's be honest. I mean, there's a guy on the team this year, and I'm not going to call his name, so don't do it, but he loafed seriously last year. Mm-hmm. And he's one of the best players on the team currently because of the mindset has shifted so much that what was allowed last year is not going to be allowed this year, and he's shown the ability to come through. We're talking here on Inside Carolina Live. I think I need to get to a segment, AJ. When do I need to have a break? We got another minute, so let's ask Spencer. Spencer,
you better get it to him.
yeah, we'll go. No hourglasses here. Spencer, I want to talk about offense, and we'll talk about it more after the break, but it sort of fits on offense as well. And the player I mentioned is on offense. I mean, these guys, they're not going to get the ball as much as they expected, especially the wide receivers. We need to see that buy-in from those wide receivers, running those routes consistently and not getting the ball. Jason's a wide receiver that didn't get the ball.
Truth.
I don't know if it's because he didn't run the route or he just wasn't getting the ball. But yeah, the buy-in's not just on the defensive side getting hats to the ball. It's doing it on offense too.
At the bare bones of it, I think part of it just has to come down to your desire to win. I feel like, how bad – if you're not going to get the ball in a specific play, do you still want to win? How badly do you want to beat the guy across from you? And the receivers in this offense, what we've seen a lot of so far is, do you want to block that DB 7 yards off you so that your running back doesn't get killed coming out of the backfield? And you spoke this week on the podcast. Every single play, it just seems like maybe there's one or two breakdowns in there. They're close, but not everyone is doing their job to the best of their ability. And that is what turned, a first down, a gain of 10, a gain of 11 to a rush for no gain or an incomplete pass or
Can't
something
be the
of
weak
that
link.
nature. No. So
it only takes one.
It comes to me, it's just how badly do you want to win and do your job?
Do you want to win or do you want to dominate?
Personally, I'd prefer if they wanted to dominate.
There's a difference in mentality.
Is it mutually exclusive?
I think so. There's a difference in mentality between somebody who goes out there and they want to humiliate you. They want to dominate you. They want to demonstrate their masculinity. And I know that's an unpopular thing to say, but football is that, right? But they want to demonstrate that they're the bigger, better, stronger man, and they want to grind your nose in it every time. There's a difference between that and somebody who's like, all right, I'm winning, I'm good.
Yeah.
There's
100% true.
It's a completely different thing. And anybody who's coached or played knows the difference between those two types of players.
Yep.
You always want the dominator.
Absolutely. Going to a break, coming back a lot more. We're going to talk about the Richmond Spiders and Jason's need to dominate. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live here on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
This is Ryan Taylor, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
It's time for the Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. And Carolina's 20-3 win over Charlotte, marking Coach Bill Belichick's first victory as a heel. UNC started the game with a touchdown drive for the second straight week. This time, the drive took only 3 plays, finishing with quarterback Gio Lopez laying out a perfect 51-yard pass to Chris Culliver for the score.
Carolina moving with some pace. Lopez, deep drop.
There we go.
Deep throw.
Touchdown.
Left side. Touchdown, Carolina. Chris Culliver brings it in. 3 plays, 75 yards. The last 51 through the air for 6.
That was this week's Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. Save $50 when you spend $150 or more on automotive services during football season at any of Chapel Hill Tire's 12 area locations. Use promo code DOTG25 when you schedule your appointment, and drive happy, Tar Heels.
For over 2 decades, there's been no better place online for the Tar Heel sports community than Inside Carolina. Now with the On3 network, you can still find us at InsideCarolina.com, but you will need to reactivate your subscription, and you can do so today for $1. Access in-depth daily content by joining the best community for Tar Heel sports around. The Tar Heels are your hometown team, and Inside Carolina is your hometown site for Tar Heel sports.
I'm Jeremy Salemson with CIMG Residential Mortgage. At CIMG, we are so proud to be your local mortgage experts. At CIMG, we loan our own money, approve loans locally, and stay connected with our customers throughout the process. In short, we humanize the lending experience. Learn more at CIMGINC.com. CIMG, lending on a first-name basis. NMLS number 39460.
This is Jeff Denny with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. I really stress with the customers that we are looking to be their generator partner for the next 10, 15, 20 years for their ownership of having a generator. We want to make sure they can rely on us that that generator is ready to run and on go when they need it. Go to GeneratorSupercenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSupercenterOfTheTriangle.com.
Hey, Tar Heel parents, Adam Bishop, Senior Pastor at New Hope Church, and we've recently updated and renovated our entire children's ministry space with your baby, preschooler, and elementary student in mind. We would love for them to get to experience these new fun environments where they'll grow in their faith and make some new friends this Sunday. Services are available at both 9 and 11 a.m. Check out newhopechurch.org for more information. We can't wait to see you this Sunday, and God bless our Tar Heels.
This is Ely from Alma's Jewelers. After the flooding in Eastgate, we had to close our doors. But now, I'm so happy to say we are back. Our temporary location is open in University Place, right in the retail space at 900 Willow Apartments, across from Fifth Third Bank. It's bright, beautiful, and easy to get to. with plenty of free parking. Whether you're shopping for something special or just want to say hello, thank you for your support. We are so proud to be part of this community. Come see us at Alma's Jewelers, now in University Place.
Hi, it's Jones Angel, voice of the Tar Heels, and you're listening to your flagship station for Tar Heel sports, 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, Chapel Hill.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
I've seen the just retreat, got down on my knees through the virgin mother of prayer.
A little bit of church music on a Saturday. It is Inside Carolina Live here on WCHL. Tommy Ashley, Trey Edge, Jason Staples, Spencer Haskell still around. It's family weekend in Chapel Hill, so Miss Grace Nugent spending time with the family, and I do not blame her for not coming down here to deal with this crowd.
She heard I was going to be here.
She heard Jason Staples was coming. She said, I defer to the next time. So we will be rocking it until the end. Shout out to Coach Q Barbecue that fed my tailgate. What a great job.
Wow.
Just, Dwayne is a wonderful guy. He said, can I bring barbecue to the tailgate? Absolutely. I didn't even have to get it out.
I was hoping he was going to leave it right down there.
Let's talk.
I was hoping.
Yeah, no,
I was hoping.
Oh, no. I made sure it got to the right place. Let's talk Spiders. Jason, we talked about them on the game plan. And it was funny listening to Belichick. It reminded me of Lou Holtz and all those coaches that every team you play is, the 85 Bears or, the Bart Starr-led Green Bay Packers back in the day. They do have a big man at quarterback. He is a very large guy, 6'4", 260. Belichick said Roethlisberger?
That is what I heard.
He did.
Let's get Jason Staples' take on the young man or the big man from Richmond.
He's a good player in a lot of ways, and I get what Belichick is saying in terms of comparing him to Roethlisberger, in that he is a big body. He's hard to get on the ground in the pocket, doesn't go down easily. He can make some plays on the move. He doesn't look like a runner, right? In terms of just the big body and all that, but he does make some plays on the move. And then when he does throw downfield, he can spin it. He can actually throw downfield and challenge you in those seams and in those verticals, and he gets pretty aggressive. So this is one of those stylistically, I can see where he's going with this. Now, it ain't Ben Roethlisberger out there. Let's be honest. Let's be real. It's like, this is the homeless man's Ben Roethlisberger.
Jeez.
But he's good, or I guess unhoused man. I'm sorry, but
no poor man.
Yeah.
Poor man Ben Roethlisberger.
No, we skipped over that. But he's a good player, but he's not an NFL multiple decade starter. The big thing though that you get with him is if you're really disciplined in your rush lanes and you crowd him and you make him throw, he will throw off that back foot some because he's got a really strong arm and he trusts it.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of times where he'd get a little bit of pressure and he would throw off the back foot and he'd spin it fine, but there are times where he does not diagnose underneath coverage well. So he knows where his guys are, but if you play with his coverages a little bit underneath, I said it in the Game Plan podcast. I'm going to say it here. This would be a game where I would not be surprised to see one of those backers or maybe a star nickel, one of those safeties coming down on the inside, changing the picture on him and undercutting a route and potentially going for a pick six type thing because of how aggressive he can get. He'll anticipate and throw down those seams, and you can get those guys to kind of get under those routes, and he won't always see him. Even though he's a taller guy, he won't always see him. So you have to be disciplined in your rush lanes. You can't let him get out and make throws on the edge. That's when he really can hurt you. But this is not Lamar Jackson as a runner. It's not, I saw people concerned this week about Carolina's always struggled with running quarterbacks. So does everybody.
Yep.
But this is not Lamar Jackson. This is not Russell Wilson in terms of that kind of runner where he's going to kind of go Houdini on you or beat you with speed. It's really about getting him on the ground. That's the hard part.
And that's
he's
what
rushed it 31 times in 2 games.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
It's not a small picture you have of him.
And he's a battering ram when
Yes.
he does go.
Yeah.
You better strap up and bring it
Yeah.
because he will lower that shoulder. And some of the smaller backers on there, you better bring it or he will embarrass you.
One of the things I was looking at when thinking about Richmond was, this is a team. Okay, they've played in Lehigh, they've played Wofford.
Yep.
Take that for what it's worth. They are used to success. They've won conference titles in 23 and in 24. And if you look at what they've done the first two games, again, taking competition into account, in FCS, they are ninth nationally in yards allowed. They're seventh nationally in third down defense. So my brain goes to the other side of the ball. And what we've all said here today, we want to see from Carolina's offense. And that's the ability to line up, run it down their throat, and them not be able to stop it. Those stats will tell you they're at least okay defensively. And when you pair that with these stats from Carolina the first two games, 5 3-and-outs versus UNC Charlotte, 6 3-and-outs versus TCU. I don't want to see that today.
And this is Carolina's offense.
Carolina's offense doing that. I don't want to see that today. So I'm trying to pair that against a Richmond defense. We were just talking about their quarterback. Their defense is at least going to be adequate enough that they're going to test you. This is not some team that's running out here that doesn't know how to play ball. Yeah, we're 3 touchdown favorites. I get it. But when you look at those stats as what we've done the first 2 weeks, I want to see that. In particular, that number needs to be cut in half for me. Fair?
I'm with you. And actually, I think defensively, I think they're pretty comparable to what you just played.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, they're an FCS team, but, I don't think Charlotte ran out a bunch of guys that were better athletically than what you're seeing here. And Richmond does play physical.
Yes.
And that's something, that's actually what you want here.
Absolutely.
If you're Carolina, you want a team that's going to come in and they're going to be more than the, the old tomato can punching bag, for heavyweight fighters. You want to have somebody who's going to try to hit you in the mouth. And they're going to do that. They actually have an edge that I was pretty impressed with. I like him. He's a guy that I would potentially evaluate in the portal if he came out. But he's a South Florida guy, so those guys play with some fire traditionally. But number 8 on their defensive line, 6'4", 245, and he comes off the ball hard, and he will give you trouble in terms of your tackles. I think this is a game where the right tackle, especially because he tends to line up on that left side, they're going to find a place where he's going to get a matchup. If he can't get it on the right tackle, I wouldn't be surprised if they moved him around. Number 8 on their defensive line is a guy Carolina is going to have to account for and be good in handling him. And what they do up front is very much they're aggressive. They're an aggressive one gap front. So they're gonna basically tell their defensive line, come screaming up the field into your gap, backers trigger into your gap, and we're trying to wreak havoc. We're trying to blow everything up.
Yep.
Which what that means for your offensive line is your first and second steps have to be with conviction, and they got to be in the right spot, and then you can move them. And if you can get that movement, you can create some seams and potentially hit that with aggression, and that's when you get big plays.
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for.
Right. Get in here, Spencer. We're talking about Donovan. I don't want to butcher his last name, but Hoylett.
Yeah.
Hoylett.
Yeah, Hoylett.
I do not like messing up names, but he is the edge Jason's talking about. And, of course, Kyle Wickersham is the quarterback, number 16. Spencer, your take here.
I think the one thing that I'm looking for most here this week is do those fundamentals from last week travel. Was that just a one-off thing? Or the bodies that you're going to see from Richmond this afternoon are not going to be – this is an FCS program. They're not going to be the same bodies that you might have even seen last week in Charlotte, who still, granted, were not the biggest players on the football field. So what I want to see is can Carolina continue to impose their will on line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively? Can they control the line of scrimmage on defense? Can they not? I'd like to see, can they give up even less than whatever it was last week, 1.7 yards a carry? I would like, can they shrink that number? And then on offense, can they impose their will, move their guy off of their spot, and just run the ball down the field? And kind of like you were just talking about earlier, we want them to know that Carolina's going to run the ball, and there is nothing you can do to stop it, and that's what I want to see.
Well, and to that point again, going back to those stats, Richmond's given up 2.6 yards a carry, rushing defense. If you look at
physical.
They are. If you look at just go down our running back stats and look at average yards per carry, you'll go 3.1, 5.8, 2.8, 3.7. Okay, we're not rushing for 7 yards a carry. So again, when I look at matchup today, they're giving up 2.6. Richmond is. I need that to be pushing 5, I would say. Would you agree?
I want it to be pushing 6. It
Correct.
needs to be over 5
I agree
against
with
this
you.
team, given what they're bringing at you up front. That's what I would expect.
Yeah, I love numbers, obviously.
Yeah.
I love looking at stats and matchups. And so when I look at that, if I look post-game and I see that we've averaged 6 yards a carry, it's going to be a good day for the North Carolina offense.
It needs to be over 5.
Yeah.
There
We're
needs
not
to
talking
be
about
some,
approaching 5. It needs to be over.
And we've talked about breaking tackles.
I was going to add that.
I mean, the tackle, the forced missed tackle numbers are startling for North Carolina's running backs. They are next to nothing. And to Trey's point, Richmond tackles, they can hold you. And Carolina's got to break tackles, Jason. We talked about that. Is this a game where you're looking to see more of that? And as part of this evaluation process, you have to have more of that.
If you can't break tackles against this team, and again, I don't want to sell them short. They are a physical FCS football team, but they are an FCS football team. If you're not breaking tackles against this team, it's a bad sign for when you start playing against programs that have legit NIL money that they're throwing at their defenders, right? That's the thing. And the thing is, 1 or 2 broken tackles, that's where you get your big plays. And when you're getting into this, 6 yard per carry range and above, what that means is you got big plays. That means you're breaking a 30, 40 yarder here and there. That's what Carolina's been missing in the running game. They're getting 3 yards here, 2 yards there, 6 yards here, whatever. But then that's it. It's capped because those guys aren't making that additional play. You've got to see some chunk plays in the run game that are showing that guys are starting to figure that out. Now, you mentioned Carolina holding them to under 1.8, right?
Without the sacks.
And without the sacks. And I think that's viable because I think actually one place where they are worse than what Charlotte was last week, I think, is on the offensive line.
Richmond being worse.
Yeah, Richmond is worse than Charlotte on the offensive line from what I've seen. My evaluation is that they're worse. They're harder to defend in certain respects because their quarterback, Wickersham, is a better thrower than what you faced last week. So they will threaten you more down the field, and there's probably going to be a play or two, and I think there's still some stuff they've got to clean up on the back end where you're like, yeah, they just gave up a 55-yard pass. Like, what's going on here? That's something I'm actually willing to handle. If I'm Belichick, I'm okay with giving a couple of those up in this game as long as I give up 1.5 yards per rush, because that means they're getting off the field and with a bunch of 3 and outs.
Right. Yeah.
So who can, for North Carolina, and we're talking with Edge, Staples, and Haskell on Inside Carolina Live. Sounds like a law firm here. Spencer, who do you want to see show out for Carolina against a Richmond team that's going to provide some opportunities to see that?
I think I might be a little biased here, but he spoke to us on Thursday, and he really impressed me last Saturday in Charlotte. But I really, really like DeAndre Robinson's game. I really do. I think it's been a really long time since Carolina's had that big body in the middle of the defensive line that can kind of just impose his will, do whatever he wants, and you can't block him. So I'm looking for him this week to kind of show out and continue to build on what he showed last weekend in Charlotte.
Does Leroy Jackson have a good game today?
So my choice would have been Robinson as well, but Leroy Jackson would have been my next one, because I think those particular defensive tackles, as they go, this defense starts to eat. And what did they talk about all offseason? Building from the inside out.
Yep.
And we questioned a lot. And I know internally they questioned whether they had the pieces defensively on the defensive interior to be what they want to be. And through 2 weeks, we're starting to get some indications that that's actually not the biggest concern on the defense moving forward, because a couple of those guys look like they're actually players.
Yep.
I want to see that develop just a little bit further. And Jackson he's a really good, really exciting prospect for Carolina moving forward.
Can we flip to the other side of the ball?
Yeah, I was going to say, on the other side of the ball, who you want to see?
I want to see a running back. I want to see somebody separate from the group. Is it DeMond Jr. who looked good last week? I want to just see somebody, so I'll pick him. And I would like to see more than one completion to a tight end in 3 games. So,
which is incredible, given that you have a tight end coach that is your offensive coordinator.
I know, and I'm not. It's not me putting anything down or being negative about it. But if we're going to be the type of offense we want to be, that tight end has to have a role other than stepping down and attempting to make a block and not sealing
And it has to,
fair enough.
And it has to be less predictable about when you're going to run based on which tight end is on the field.
Correct. Absolutely
so
correct.
you have to have a guy that's actually been willing to block, actually be a guy that's actually making catches.
Is it Owens?
I don't know.
That's the problem is we don't know.
Coming into the season, I would have guessed Cox.
Yeah, me too.
But we haven't seen it yet.
Nope.
So are we going to see it?
I want to see a tight end be able to run that route that's just outside the linebackers coming back down that seam, that we see from a lot of other people.
I mean, John Copenhaver
lived in that area. And those are the
well, Belichick's never really used the tight end much at prior stops.
No,
so,
sure hasn't.
I mean, maybe it's just not an emphasis.
He's totally overrated, all pros and probably Hall of Famers. Let's get out of here. Segment 4 done on Inside Carolina Live. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live here on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL. I'm Tommy, Spencer, Jason, Trey. Will be back for the rest of the show as AJ takes us to the end.
Hey, it's Trey Boston, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
My name's Rebecca Rosenberg. Will Johnson Building Company built a house for my husband and I 15 years ago. It was the most wonderful experience. They are beyond honest. You see what your bills are. And Rebecca's always looking. I didn't know anything about remnant countertops, and she was like, oh, well, in this bathroom, we can save some money. We can get a remnant for this countertop. She saves you money wherever she possibly can.
Go to willjohnsonbuildingcompany.com and see for yourself.
It's almost time for back to school and back to your routine. That doesn't mean it has to be boring. Zoom into the season with a new ride from Mark Jacobson Toyota, where back to school means back to yes. Need space for carpools? Yes. Looking for fuel savings? Yes. Want to upgrade your commute? Yes.
At Mark Jacobson Toyota, they say yes to great deals, easy financing, and getting you back on the road in style. Visit markjacobsontoyota.com today.
Hey, Tar Heel parents, Adam Bishop, senior pastor at New Hope Church, and we've recently updated and renovated our entire children's ministry space with your baby, preschooler, and elementary student in mind. We would love for them to get to experience these new fun environments where they'll grow in their faith and make some new friends this Sunday. Services are available at both 9 and 11 a.m. Check out newhopechurch.org for more information. We can't wait to see you this Sunday, and God bless our Tar Heels.
Sundays are game days at Town Hall Grill. Enjoy family-friendly brunch, ice-cold drinks, and every NFL game on big screens with the sound on. Town Hall Grill, where brunch meets football and supports autism awareness in our community. Bring the family, enjoy great food and ice-cold drinks, and be part of a local spot that proudly supports autism awareness in our community. Town Hall Grill, where every Sunday feels like game day. Let's go Tar Heels.
This is Ely from Alma's Jewelers. After the flooding in Eastgate, we had to close our doors. But now, I'm so happy to say we are back. Our temporary location is open in University Place, right in the retail space at 900 Willow Apartments, across from Fifth Third Bank. It's bright, beautiful, and easy to get to, with plenty of free parking. Whether you're shopping for something special or just want to say hello, thank you for your support. We are so proud to be part of this community. Come see us at Alma's Jewelers, now in University Place.
I'm Pat Circadakis with Coldwell Banker Howard Perry in Wellston.
I'm a Realtor Emeritus, a licensed real estate agent for more than 40 years. People ask me why I keep doing this. It's fun. Helping people buy homes, build wealth, raise their families, become part of a community. I don't know of anything that makes you feel better than that. I'm going to keep doing it as long as people want me to.
To learn more, go to trianglehomes.realestate.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
Came from the country, back to the bed of
Everybody gets back. Inside Carolina Live. Tommy Ashley here, live from the Bowls Lot. Crowd filling up. Just a perfect day for football. I mean, you could not ask for better weather in Chapel Hill the first two games.
Another 10 degrees would make me happier.
Hotter?
Cooler? Oh, hotter.
I'm a hot person, but you don't want to sit on the north side in 90-degree weather.
I would. Give me 95 and humid.
Remember this, folks. Jason Staples on whatever day it is, September 13th. I'm gonna have him in the Bowls lot on an August 30th game on the north side.
How old is Jason?
He's still young, but he's not
How old
that
are you?
young.
43.
Okay, you need put 10 more on you. You'll change your tune.
I love that mid 90s with
you don't
let's say
understand.
80% humidity somewhere in there.
North side, and folks that are watching this, north side of the stadium in a 95-degree day is about 120.
Not for the faint of heart.
No, it is.
Love it.
It is
That's my
unbelievable.
weather.
A lot of this guy. Yeah, we got Desert Staples here. We're going to talk a little bit about here on this fifth segment, Belichick's bigger plan. And I think a lot of what we've talked about leading up to this point is an important thing. But I think we've seen the bigger plan, especially last week against Charlotte. Will we continue to see it? We had the opportunity to talk special teams guys on Tuesday. Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
It was Tuesday.
We had Belichick, Reese Verhoff, the kicker, Spencer Triplett, and Tom McGinnis. But Spencer Triplett was asked about the difference in the programs because he's been here for 6 years. And he's had an opportunity to be under Mac Brown and that staff, and then an opportunity to be here under Bill Belichick. And I thought his answer was interesting. I'm going to play that clip for you, and then we're going to talk about it. I guess Kenny is asleep in the wheel at WCHL.
Well, he's turning that hand. I mean, I don't think the hand really works for the wheel to go.
The hamster fell off the wheel. Shout out to Daryl in New Hampshire. I hear you're watching our show here live. This is the gang. You need to get down here to the Bowls lot if you can sometime. Basically,
we always love to support our servicemen on that stuff too.
Absolutely. And
retired
look,
or otherwise.
And if anybody wants to shout out, hit me up. If you are overseas, wherever you're serving our country, especially coming out of 9/11 just 2 days ago, I mean, much appreciation for all you do. I could not imagine doing what you do, but we do this because of you guys, and it's very much appreciated. Spencer Triplett talked about having more responsibility as a player, having homework as players to do their self-scouts, to do their scouts of their opponents and all. Jason, I think that is, when you talk about being the 33rd NFL team, a lot of people see that for different reasons, and they sort of laugh at that. But I think Triplett's comments, if we get them up, I do want to play them, but I think Spencer Triplett's comments are more what it's about. The players not being babied, not being coddled, being held accountable, and being forced to do certain things that maybe they weren't in the past or else. And I think that's the biggest part of culture here.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences is the emphasis on self-scouting as a player. And I think that's one of the most useful things you can do for a player, because it's really, really easy, especially these days where you have everybody on social media who's been following you since you were a recruit or whatever. You got family who's involved, and they're, always a text away, and, people on TikTok and everything telling you what you are or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get into an adversarial relationship with your coaches, to where like, oh man, he's just on me for whatever. But one of the things you try to do as a coach, if you're a good coach, is you try to get the guy to understand, like, look at it from my perspective, son. If you're looking at this film, what do you see? You teach him how to watch the film, first of all, and you get him to be able to diagnose what he sees with other players, but then to turn it back on him and go, what do you see? What do you see with yourself? You need to grade yourself. Let me know what you think. And having players do that together, that sort of thing, that requires that you actually start to look at yourself and be like, I need coaching on this, and these are weaknesses for me. And that changes that.
Yeah, you got to tighten up.
Yeah.
And once you realize you got to tighten up, it's easier to take it when a coach is telling you.
That's right.
I think it's interesting, Triplett, and the way he said that. And if you want to look at comparisons between administrations, however you want to term it, there are stark differences. Make no mistake about it. We could sit here for a very long time and break this down nuts and bolts style about even what's different about a practice, what's different about a pregame meal, for crying out loud, self-scouting. We can do all that, but it is culture. When we keep saying that word over and over and over again, having been on the other side of it, there is a stark difference. And it is not to put one down and prop up the other. I am not saying it that way. Let's just say it is very different, and it'll hit you between the eyes these guys that are currently here, if you're not ready for the difference in what it was versus what it is now. It is a reality check in a very, very, very big way. And these guys, I think, Jason, you probably can speak to it more than I can. Tommy, you too. I think for the most part, they've bought in. I think there's been a good buy-in. You know, we're not where we need to be. Anybody will say that. But by and large, there's not a lot of drama.
It's still early.
It is early. It is early.
But it does look like that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's good to see. The foundation is what we're trying to lay. And there's been we've also been a program that has not been immune to a whole lot of distraction.
Yes.
So quiet is good.
Chapel Hill is a good place to live.
Yes, it is.
That's I think we've got that comment queued up, and I want folks to listen to it. Can you play that, Jay?
And going back from one staff to another, this staff definitely puts a lot more responsibilities on us. They're treating us like pros, and they're expecting us to handle ourselves like pros. So they're encouraging us to always do, scouting reports on our own, figure out what our potential matchups are going to be for the week, kind of get an idea of what we're going to see and move into practice kind of with that information and trying to prepare the best way. And it's honestly been a lot more beneficial because in the past it really wasn't encouraged as much. And now it's kind of like, this is what pros are going to do. So if you want to get to that level, you got to get used to it now. And that's what I really like about having Coach Belichick and the new staff in, especially with Coach Prefer. He's the same way. He wants us to know who we're going up against, what their tendencies might be, and try and figure out what we can do in practice to best prepare for it.
And I think that was a really refreshing comment to hear coming from a special teamer. And not only did he make a comment about that, but McGinnis, I think, said something very similar to the punter. He said that Belichick makes practices the hardest situations that he's ever going to face so that he knows, I think the specific quote is, in the game, I will have seen everything that they could possibly throw at me, so I'll be prepared for whatever comes my way, when the live bullets are flying on Saturdays. And to me, that was very refreshing to hear because how many times in years past have we watched special teams for Carolina make the same repeated mistakes over and over, not just in the same game, but from a week-to-week basis. And even going back to the beginning of August, at the beginning of camp, when Coach Prefer talked to us, I was very, very, very impressed with what he had to say and with the attention to detail that it would appear this new administration, to borrow your word, has placed on special teams in the third phase of the game.
Well, and taking one snippet out of that, Jason spoke to the self-scouting. It reeks of personal responsibility. Mm-hmm. There are 11 guys on a field at a time on either side of the ball, each with an individual job to do. You have to win at your job. And I think a lot of times in the past, you would think as a football player, that. It's inherent in you that when you line up from across from a guy that you have to win that matchup. Make no mistake, and I defer to Jason with a lot of this, but if you've walked those lines, there are times and teammates you have that think, well, he's got my back.
Exactly.
If I don't make the block correctly, my running back's good enough to get away from that guy. And you cannot have that mentality and be a long-term, big-time winning program. It is about personal matchups. It is about winning the one-on-one on every single play. And if you take what I feel is different that's what we're being pushed toward.
And it is something that has to apply to 85 or 105 or however many guys on a roster, because at some point it's going to come down to somebody that's got to make a play individually for the greater good. And I think your point there, and we're vibing very well, Trey, is that
this is what I've aspired to, Tommy.
This I am just along for the ride on this one. But you see guys sometimes in sports, that guy's got it. He's going to make that tackle. How many times have we seen a guy, especially in the secondary, just assuming that guy's going to make the tackle, the guy breaks the tackle, and then you're like, oh, no. I've got to make a play.
That's why backside matters.
Yeah,
and that's why
results in a blown coverage too.
Mm-hmm.
Your corner isn't fundamentally sound. All of a sudden, he's better over the top. He thinks his safety's got his back. Well, there's nobody there.
Yep.
Touchdown.
And you see guys throwing their hands up, going like, "What just happened?"
Exactly. It is personal accountability and winning your matchup. It's that simple.
And there's also, again, another buy-in factor here, where if you're handed the game plan. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to attack them, guys. Here's what we're going to practice. And it's top down. It's much harder for a team to buy into that with the same at the same level that they would if it's all right, what did you see?
Mm-hmm.
What did you see? Now, first of all, if you come into that meeting and the coach looks at you and says, what did you see? How do you want to attack him? And you know that you've got nothing but BS, that means you're shamed in front of your teammates.
Absolutely.
Like you didn't do the work. So that's going to encourage you to do more work. But the other part of that is that if you noticed something, maybe they didn't, maybe they did. But either way, now you know that what they're handing you as the game plan is taking that into account. And you're bought into it because you believe in what you and they have seen. It's a completely different kind of thing. And again, there's kind of a bottom-up leadership quality to this that all good leadership really is. All good leadership always involves bringing the people who are being led into the leadership picture. And that's what they're trying to do with that. And, we've talked about this for years about you always ask your quarterback early in the week. And then at the end of the week, what are you comfortable with? Mm-hmm. Well, part of that is the same process of what did you see on film that you think you can take advantage of? Odds are coach saw that too, but I want him to know that we're listening to that and that we're going to put him in the most comfortable positions for him. And if he identifies something I don't agree with, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at it again. Maybe I did miss something. And if I don't agree with it, even after that, we're going to have a conversation to kind of work through that. And again, it's all about then buy-in. And once you're completely bought in, you wind up in a place where you're not thinking so much. You're able to really focus on the execution and getting it done.
Bottom-up leadership.
That's right.
And I think folks should not miss that comment because that is what really good and elite programs have. It's not always about the top. It is about the bottom up. Spencer, what you got?
Yeah, I think it almost similar to what I said about, this is silly, but the Inside Carolina family, it takes a village. And it takes a village to run Inside Carolina. It takes everybody in the village to, execute and run a successful football team. Speaking to what you were talking about on the offensive side of the ball, for example, every single play, maybe 9 or 10 guys do their job, but that one guy doesn't do his job. It's not, that play isn't going to do, exactly what you might hope it would do. But if you can get to the point where that leadership is coming and all 11 guys on the field are working together and, Landon Turner's not here this week, but, I got your back, you get all 11 of those guys on the same page. And then, you get all 22 guys on offense and defense on the same page. And then, the 1 deep, the 2 deep depth charts on the same page, then I think you will really start to see improvement and just growth with this football team in this first year in this growing pain period.
It is not a 2-game journey.
No, it is not.
Much longer than that. Speaking of having your back, Johnny T-Shirt has Inside Carolina's back, has your back as an Inside Carolina premium subscriber. Look, if you're a premium subscriber, you get that guy breaking down film. You get Don Callahan on the recruiting side. You get Sherelle McMillan and all the basketball folks on the premium side. You get Buck Sanders, who's back over here chilling. You get his column on the premium side, and you also get 10% off at Johnny T-Shirt, and you get a lot of swag. I promise you won't get this Inside Carolina swag with a famous Eric Church quote on the back, but you can get just about everything else.
You need to get that made by Johnny T-Shirt.
We're going to have to talk to him about that. It is Inside Carolina Live here on 97.9. We'll come back. We got one more segment before we get out of here and kick it over to the network as we head to Kenan Stadium, but we'll be back shortly.
I'm Shaquille Rashad, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill.
This is Ely from Alma's Jewelers. After the flooding in Eastgate, we had to close our doors. But now, I'm so happy to say we are back. Our temporary location is open in University Place, right in the retail space at 900 Willow Apartments, across from Fifth Third Bank. It's bright, beautiful, and easy to get to, with plenty of free parking. Whether you're shopping for something special or just want to say hello, thank you for your support. We are so proud to be part of this community. Come see us at Alma's Jewelers, now in University Place.
Hi, friends. Every game has that one drive that changes everything. At Chapel Hill Tire, we know the same is true for your car. The right service at the right value keeps you moving forward, whether it's game day or just another Monday morning commute. Take advantage of our Drive of the Game special. Save $50 when you spend $150 or more on automotive services. Just use promo code DOTG25 when you schedule your appointment. This season, you can just call us Chapel Bill Tire. Do your job and drive happy.
How do you make decisions? We are inundated with so many choices every day. If you're like us, you choose local. We are Bold Commercial Real Estate, and we have been in Chapel Hill for over 25 years. We are tenants, We are landlords. We are buyers and sellers of commercial property. We are the first to know about real estate opportunities in Orange and Chatham counties, and we can't wait to advise you on your next commercial real estate endeavor. Connect with us at boldcre.com.
Hey, Tar Heels, Adam Bishop here, senior pastor at New Hope Church in Durham and a big Carolina fan. Whether you're celebrating a win or down at halftime, you'll find hope, community, and a place to belong at New Hope. For over 20 years, we've been a diverse faith family where people build lasting friendships and make a difference together. There's a seat waiting for you. Visit newhopechurch.org. We can't wait to meet you, and God bless our Tar Heels.
This football season, there's only one place to be on game day, Town Hall Grill. Cheer on the Tar Heels with delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and every play on the big screens with the sound on. Town Hall Grill is your go-to spot for great food, cold drinks, and Carolina football all season long. Game day means Town Hall Grill. Big screens, sound on, ice-cold drinks, and the food you love. Don't miss a moment to cheer on the Tar Heels at Town Hall Grill.
Retirement, investments, taxes. It's chaos. Unless, of course, you have someone to make sense of it all. You should call John Stillman at Rosewood Wealth Management, the one who brings order to the madness. Because you see, money's not a joke, but mismanaging it? Oh, that's a real punchline. Why not? Make the call.
The Joker wasn't compensated for this endorsement because he isn't real. However, Carolina Wealth Stewards doing business as Rosewood Wealth Management is a real registered investment advisor with the state of North Carolina.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports.
Like the fuse and run now, brother, cause you ain't got a lot of time.
Back here in the Bowls lot it is Inside Carolina Live. Last segment ahead. Carolina and Richmond kicks off about an hour and 20 minutes. A little bit after 2 here in the Bowls lot. Crowd filling up. Another perfect day. We've talked about that earlier. Plenty of the regular tailgaters. A lot of new faces out here. And, of course, a lot of people coming by the Inside Carolina tent to say hello. It is, to quote Eric Church, what a day to be alive if you're a Carolina football fan. You only get 6 of these this year. This is the second one of the season, Kenan Stadium. Jason, let's talk a little bit about this game specifically. We make our predictions on the preseason, on the game plan podcast. We do all that kind of stuff, and sometimes we're on it and sometimes we're not. We haven't been on it much lately, but last week we missed out a little bit. But this week we all three seem to have, or you and I had it not being close today. Is that a key thing for this North Carolina team? It needs to be a decisive win, or your take?
Well, I mean, I think if this is a game going into the fourth quarter, I don't want to be melodramatic about this, but if this is a game going into the fourth quarter, I think that becomes a readjust your expectations for the season moment.
I would agree.
Because you're playing a team that you should dominate on both sides of the ball up front. That doesn't have a ton of guys. They got a couple guys that'll give you. They'll have a few plays on offense. They've got a few guys that will give you some physicality on defense. You know, you're going to have to play, but if you're not blowing the doors off this team the way that you should, if you're not getting at least close to covering the spread or covering in this game, and this is a game going in, this is okay. Well, when it comes time for Virginia, it comes time for NC State, Duke, these other programs. You got to start taking those from maybe 60-40 Carolina or a 50-50 shot to saying, okay, you're probably an underdog the rest of the year for most of your games. So to me, I mean, it's not even about the margin. It's about, are you taking care of business? And again, we've talked about fundamentals and effort. Are you taking care of business with fundamentals and effort up front against the team that you should be able to lean on and beat that way? And if you're not, it's adjust your expectations.
What is that going in the fourth quarter? What is a game?
I would say fourth quarter is within 14 points.
Thinking 2 touchdowns.
So, generally speaking, 17 points in the fourth quarter is over a 90% win expectancy. So, somewhere around 14 points. If it's within 14 in the fourth quarter, I'm looking at this team and I'm going, maybe I gave him a little too much credit in the preseason.
Yeah, because, I listened to you guys during the week prediction show and all that kind of stuff, and I kind of had 31-10 is where I kind of found myself falling. Guys in Vegas know something because it's right around that number. But I'm with you. And it's a difficult thing for someone like myself to quantify, because I can walk away from this game today feeling really, really good about the performance, and it not necessarily being a 4-touchdown win. So it's this juggling act of, two of my buddies came up here earlier today and they were like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And every one of them says the same thing. I don't know if we can score enough points to blow anybody out. So we all were left with that kind of, it's not going to be 45-7. Could be, but we're not expecting that. Fans. You're correct. So we can walk away from here with a 3-touchdown win and feel really, really good about it. Or we can walk away from here with a 14-17 point win and feel like absolute crap.
Right.
It's just in building a program, you find yourself there. You're just on this little teetering line of saying, oh, yeah, we are getting there. Oh, well, crap. We're not as good as we thought we were.
Yeah.
When you were watching Charlotte last week, and granted, it was a closer game, 20-3 the final. Did you ever feel like Charlotte had a chance?
No.
How many times have you watched Carolina football, though, and you ever felt like the other team did not have a chance?
A couple times last year.
Against?
The equivalent of Charlotte.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, watching this Carolina team today, I want to see the offense perform a little better. I want to see them hit some plays. I want to see Gio Lopez. And that was a question in the chat, and I promised I'd get at least one. David McCarson, who's a regular, says, will Max Johnson play if Gio doesn't perform? I think you've got to find out what you've got with Gio Lopez today. Even if it's against Richmond, he's got to be able to put enough on tape and to put enough on that field, Jason, to show that he's your guy. Otherwise, you get down to UCF, you get to Clemson, you need to start thinking about it. But Gio Lopez has got to put up and shut up and show out today, I think.
Yeah, and getting back to your point about it's a 14-point win, you might end up feeling okay about. That's the case if you're looking at, like, you had a few fluky turnovers, something like that.
Yep.
And let's say you're -3 in the turnover column. You had a dropped punt. Your quarterback threw 2 interceptions that were just great plays and, whatever. And you win by 14. You go back and you're like, look, I mean, this game still wasn't really in doubt, even though we played about as bad as we could in key areas. Fine. But if you go out there and you're +3 in the turnover column and you win by 17,
oh, that's not good.
You're looking at that and you're going,
yeah,
that means they were even with us.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what you're saying as a coach. Like, I don't know about this, and that's not good. So the same thing applies to somebody like Gio on this. You're wanting to evaluate him every drive. And, the question of whether Max Johnson comes in if Gio struggles, I think you're right. You have to find out what you have in Gio first and foremost. That starts with not just can he play well out of the gate, but let's say he has a rough patch there, say in the late first quarter through the second quarter and goes into halftime and you're only up 7 points, or maybe you're down at half and he's played poorly. I don't know that they make a switch right then. Because one of the things that you want to find out about your quarterback is how he handles when things don't go well. And that's
that's the test.
One of Belichick's mentors. That's actually one of his big things. Bill Parcells used to say this all the time, that being a good NFL quarterback is not so much about how you handle it when things are going well, but it's about how you bounce back after bad plays.
Yeah.
And so if Gio does struggle, I think they're going to give him some additional opportunities to grow through that and show what kind of player he is in a context where things are not going as well as they should. The place where a change happens is, let's say it's a 7-point game, one way or the other, after the midpoint of the third quarter, and Gio has struggled all game, and it doesn't look like he's going to get it together. At that point, I think that's a cut bait situation for the game where, like, okay, we're going to need to replace him to make sure that we win this game because he's really struggling. I don't think we're going to see that, but that would be the point where I would expect them to make a change. Would be, okay, he's struggled. We've given him the chance to grow through it, and he struggled so much, we're not actually guaranteed to even win this game. Now we got to make the change to make sure that we're going to go to a guy who's going to set that floor so that we walk out of here victors. That's when you make the change.
Yep.
I know you guys have talked about this earlier in the week, and it's been a hot topic for the common fan the last couple of weeks. I would bring it around as it relates to Gio. Scripted series versus non-scripted series. We've seen what's happened the first two games. Come out, go right down the field against TCU. Caleb Hood, 9-yard run for a touchdown. Come out last week, 60-yard touchdown pass to Culliver. Then things seem to get a little off kilter once the scripting is no longer a factor. So as it relates to us talking about quarterback play, how much of that falls there? I know there's a lot out there about play calling and everything else. But what is that? Because when we get off script, there is a marked difference. Is that just strictly caliber of player when we're talking about getting off script? Because a lot of football is off script.
Yeah, and he actually tends to be a good off-script player.
That was the rep.
But he's an off-script player in the context of the play.
Right,
correct.
But here's the thing. When I go back and I look at it, I'm not seeing all those plays where I'm going, well, that's the quarterback, that's the quarterback, that's the quarterback. You got to remember, the quarterback gets more blame and more credit than he normally deserves. And in this case, the reason that you execute your script plays really well as an offense is that all of those guys have repped those plays more than anything else all week. You know you're going to call them. You know in what order roughly you're going to call them, accounting for situations. And so guys are on autopilot. There's no thinking. There's no assessment. There's no adjustments. You know what they're likely to be in. Everything is, it's like, going to the carnival and the shooting gallery thing, you know exactly where everything is. It's not moving. Second drive, stuff starts to move, right? And all of a sudden, it's not just the quarterback, but it's the offensive line. It's the tight end. It's the wide receivers. It's the running backs that are having to assess, okay, he just came down, and now they're stunting into this, and now you're getting some of that stuff. And it's not just the quarterback, it's the whole offense that just isn't executing tightly enough as soon as they get out of that script. And it's just a reps situation, I think, to get comfortable to where they're executing with proper fundamentals and great assignment fidelity on every play, not just on the ones that they've repped the most that week. And we'll see, week to week, whether they make that improvement. The hope is that this week they expand out that core of what they can really execute, regardless of what defensive look they see. They're just not there with a whole lot that they, depending on defensive look, they're comfortable with this, but they're not comfortable with that. They're going to take a little bit of time to get there. This is a week where week 1 to week 2 is usually your biggest improvement. On a short week, maybe you don't get that. Week 2 to week 3 has to be your biggest improvement of the season this year.
Okay, my question to you is it a dominant performance today?
I think so. Yeah.
Dominant both sides of the ball.
I think it's moderate on the I think the offense is a little bit hit and miss, but I think they'll score enough points that it's not in question. I think the defense dominates.
What do you think?
I love that prognosis in the medical field. I do think we dominate. I think today we see a little bit of ratcheting up from across the board. I just think, so much of this early season stuff has been, what do we have? What do we not have? And we're still going to be trying to figure that out. I just get the feeling there's going to be a little bit of a quiet confidence coming in today, full week of practice and game planning for this. And I expect to see some things that we haven't. I want to see Gio a little bit more effective in the running part of this offense. Came here with that reputation. I want to see a little bit more of that.
I hope you don't have to run them.
Correct. I agreed with you, but I'd like to see that threat. And offensive line, it's time. It is time to step up and make your presence known. Whoever those guys are going to be. And I think we haven't talked about this. And if we have time.
I was going to say we got 6 minutes.
The subject of the center. I know it's been talked about a lot, but we haven't talked about it today. At any level of football, if you have a problem at center, you've got a huge problem. And Carolina has 2 centers who have not been healthy and have not played. You can't go by the depth chart. We've all figured that part out. by no means putting Lindbergh down in any way, but I watched a game last night at the high school level, and the shotgun snap was so slow. I watched the other team's shotgun snaps, quick, fired right back to you. You don't think that makes that big of a difference, but something as little, it's not little, but it's something that a lot of people won't notice, makes such a huge deal. The timing, the rhythm of the offense, everything that goes into a successful offense. I just don't know that we've given enough credence. We probably have. But the people out there who are watching Carolina football on Saturdays may not quite get just how huge that is, that the third guy's playing center.
Well, and Lindbergh has actually, as a blocker,
yes,
he's been pretty decent.
Yep.
That's not been an enormous problem with him as a blocker. It's more that, like you said, the snaps.
Correct.
And let's think about this. If a football play on average is about 5 seconds, the average college football play is 4.5 to 5 seconds, somewhere in there. It changes year to year, but about 5 seconds. Think about what a quarter second to a half second difference in how quickly the ball gets there is. A quarter second difference in a 5 second average play is a tenth of the play. 1/10 of the play is over before the quarterback even gets the ball. And if it takes an extra tenth to get there, now let's say quarterback is normally getting it in a half second. Now he gets it in 0.75. 1/10 of your play is radically changed and gone, and things happen and change so fast at this level that it is insane. So that part, again, it's one of those little things. I mean, I coached special teams when I was coaching high school as well. I was a special teams coordinator. I timed our long snaps for a reason, because if it gets there and it in a certain amount of time, you're going to get your kickoff. If it gets there 1/10 of a second slower, it's more than likely going to get blocked against a good team.
Yeah.
So you have to worry about that. Well, the same thing's true with play in, play out. So, I'm talking 1/10 of a second.
Yeah. Well, and that doesn't even factor in the fact that if it's not a perfect snap, a little low, your quarterback's eyes are all
right.
Yes. And I think that's as big as you add all that in, because how many times have we seen Lopez start to back out and then have to go back and get it at his feet and things like that?
It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. So, hey, domination today. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
I don't want to be talking about these things after the game.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why they've tried to go under center more.
Yeah. Because
you're eliminating that part if you can just handle the ball well there. But the problem is, if you're going under center, you do eliminate some of the things that you can, some of the threats that you can put into play out of the gun as easily.
Sure.
And it makes it harder on Gio, because Gio's just not a natural under center player at this stage. So, this is where I think once they get Austin Blasky back, if Kelly can get healthy at some point, that changes you. But when you're on your third center, it's always going to be hard.
Couple minutes left. Trey, predictions.
I'm still going to stick with it. I'm going 31-10 Heels.
Who are we talking about tomorrow morning?
I think we're talking about the quarterback. I think he's going to have a fantastic game today. High completion percentage, throws a couple touchdowns.
I'm going to stick with what I got, although I'm actually more and more confident looking at this that Carolina may give up fewer than my projected 13 from our pregame podcast last night. But I'm going to go Carolina 38-13 still. But I'm going to put an asterisk by that 13. Wouldn't be surprised if that's a little lower. And I think we're going to be talking about the Carolina defense tomorrow.
Love that.
Yeah, Buck Sanders, Jason Staples, and myself will be together at 10 a.m. tomorrow live here on the Inside Carolina YouTube channel. What did I say, 44-10? I can't remember.
You said 44-10.
Carolina defense, you think we'll be talking about? Who are we talking about specifically? Is the Kamari House pick six?
Oh, that was a good catch she just had.
Oh, you going? So he's
She's
out
got
here.
a gun too. Wow.
We have a lot of Inside Carolina footballs flying around out here at the Bowls Lot. But is Kamari House if that's a prop bet? Is Jason Staples taking that one?
44-10.
No, the Kamari House
the
touchdown.
Kamari House.
Focus, man. We got.
No, I'm watching. I've just seen 2 or 3 like one-handed catches and a couple of sort of surprising throws here. This has been enlightening out here.
I'm going Thad Dixon gets his first INT.
I'm going to go no on that prop bet, although he's the guy I've had in my head the whole time about a possible pick six. I'm going to go no just because the odds of betting one guy gets a pick six, I have to take the numbers. But I would not be surprised.
Jason's going the field instead of Kamari House with an interception return. I'm going to stick with 44-10. I think Carolina's defense to to these guys' point, it has been the one bright spot that has been overlooked in the first 2 weeks. Even against TCU, I thought there was some things there, and certainly against Charlotte. Shout out to Trey and Jason. Shout out to Spencer Haskell for joining us. Shout out to Coach Q Barbecue. Dwayne brought some food for us here. And shout out to everybody in the Bowls lot. This come and interacted. It's been a fun. The swag table is empty. So obviously everything has been taken. So if you got here late, you have to catch us at the Clemson game. Day after tomorrow at 10 o'clock. We've got a full Inside Carolina lineup all week. Johnny T-shirt, 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, Kick It to the Network. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning.
It's time for the Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. And Carolina's 20-3 win over Charlotte, marking Coach Bill Belichick's first victory